ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्योजात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Sometime back, on the occasion of Gita Jayanti, when our Pujya Swamiji, Sadyojat Shankarashram Swamiji, was addressing or during his Ashirvachan, he mentioned that sometime you people have to do a vimarsha on the Paraspara Sambodhana of Krishna and Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. And I thought that this time, this Gita Jayanti would be the right time, and by the suggestion of the well-wishers, it was decided that, today, on the specific occasion of this Gita Jayanti, we'll be talking about the Paraspara Sambodhana of Krishna and Arjuna. Now, whenever we talk to each other, especially if there is a dialogue between two people, it is natural that we address each other with name, a particular name. If it is one single name, yes, we address the person in between. It's not as if the entire dialogue goes on without any kind of an addressing of each other. And the same thing is followed even in our scriptures, the Upanishads, which are nothing but a dialogue between the Guru and Shishya. And whenever the Guru is giving this teaching, which probably goes into, number of mantras and in the Smritis, number of shlokas, the Guru also very frequently addresses, drawing the attention of the Shishya, calling that Shishya by various names, either by his personal name or by the name of the Kula to which he belongs, or by the father's name, like we have in Katopanishad, Hey Nachiketas, Hey Gautama. These kind of names are used, either the Kula name or the father's name or the family name. And that is basically to make the person understand that, yes, I'm talking to you. A personal connection is always there between the two people who are in a dialogue. When frequently and in between, the person is addressed by name, it brings some kind of a closeness to the two people who are talking, who are in a dialogue. And just imagine in a work like Bhagavad Gita, which has 700 verses, in which Bhagwan Sri Krishna has only one Shishya Arjuna, that too in such extraordinary situation, a warlike situation, where this kind of a very serious teaching of Atmajnanam has to be given out. The very crux or where very summary of the Upanishads is given out by Krishna. And when such a long dialogue is going on, without any interference from any other person, it is all the more necessary for Krishna and Arjuna, both the parties in the dialogue, to address each other. And therefore, we find in Bhagavad Gita a lot of Sambodhana words when Krishna uses a number of words addressing Arjuna, and Arjuna uses also a number of words in addressing as Sambodhana to Lord Krishna. Now, it is very difficult for us to say that, every word, every name that either Krishna uses for Arjuna or Arjuna uses for Krishna has a particular context to a particular verse. It is not possible to say that. And if we try to do that, if we try to see the context of every Sambodhana in every verse, then, it is like trying to fit something into something which is not possible. Most of the times we find that in Bhagavad Gita, this addressing of each other by Bhagwan Krishna and Arjuna is most often very random. You know, yes, there are certain situations, like say in the 11th chapter, in the 10th chapter, where Arjuna is so much overwhelmed by what he sees. Then there are a group of words which he uses as Sambodhana, where Arjuna is expressing his awe, his wonderment, and that surprise which he's seeing. But otherwise, most of the times, there may not be a particular reason, a specific reason because of which Krishna is addressing Arjuna in a particular way, or vice versa. So today, what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to try to find out the context in the sense, a meaning, why a particular word, a particular name is used in a particular verse. That I'm not going to do, because that is going to really spoil the very purpose of what we are trying to say. Secondly, what I'm not going to do is, I'm not going to keep on giving you the verse numbers of every name. It is not necessary, because those of you who are listening, if I go on saying that this verse, this particular word comes in this verse, this verse, this verse, and keep on giving you a list of the verses in which appears, I think you'll be only turning the pages and will not be really able to, be with me and listen to me. And it is not really necessary for us, because as we are studying the Bhagavad Gita, as we come across these names, if we are able to really understand the meaning of it, that is what is more important for us. Therefore, one thing I'm not going to do is, number one, not try to find and fit some kind of a meaning into why this particular name is coming in this verse. It's not necessary. Secondly, I'm not going to keep on giving the references of the verses, because these names are appearing at random sometimes in many verses. For example, Kaunteya, Partha, etc. These are the words which are appearing in many verses. In maybe 20, 50, 100 verses also, we may see the same verses appearing. So, and also, I'm not going to start naming these names right from the chapter one. This is not an academic thing that we are doing here. It is not for academic purposes. It's basically for us to understand what is the meaning of these words by which Arjuna and Krishna are addressing each other. If we know the meaning of the words, then as and when we study the work, as and when we study the Bhagavad Gita, we are able to really bring that meaning into this. So three things I'm not going to do. So I have but kind of decided to give these names, the meanings of these names, by grouping them in a certain manner. I'll group them in a certain manner so that similar names which mean something similar are grouped into one, so that it is much easier for us to understand many names together as a group. That would be easier, and it will make our study much more interesting. So here what we'll do is, since Lord Krishna is the Acharya, he is the teacher. So we will give the importance to Lord Krishna. And first we'll start with the names or the Sambodhana that is done by Arjuna when he talks to Krishna. So let us see now what are these various words that are being, addressed by Arjuna to Lord Krishna. First, let us take Krishna itself. Krishna. What is the meaning of Krishna? Krishna really comes from the root, from the Sanskrit root, the verbal root, which means, Karshati Akarshati. Karshati Akarshati Bhaktan iti Krishna. It comes from that Krish, that particular dhatu. That means the one who's attractive to all the bhaktas. So that is, since we are talking about Krishna, Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna. So Krishna means the one who's attractive. It also means the one who's blue and dark. It seems Krishna was dark, but he was very, very attractive. The one who's very attractive, dark in color, and the one who attracts the bhaktas basically is the name of Krishna. When Arjuna, hey Krishna, he addresses him Krishna, he addresses him many verses. As I said, I'm not going to give the verse numbers. Then comes the most important thing we see in Bhagavad Gita is, though Arjuna doesn't address Lord Krishna like that, Bhagavan, Bhagavan comes. So in every chapter there is Bhagavan. So Arjuna may directly not address Krishna as Bhagavan, he may not say. I think occasionally in one or two, very rarely he has addressed, but otherwise, Bhagavan is not an address which normally is used by Arjuna. What is the meaning of Bhagavan? The one who has the bhagas, the six bhagas. Bhagas means glories. In the 10th chapter, when Bhagwan talks about all his glories, all these six bhagas are included. So Bhagavan means the one who possesses these six kind of glories. And how much in total, totally all these glories, samagrataya, which are present in Krishna, therefore he is called Bhagavan. What are these six glories? It is said Samagra Jnanam. Bhagwan or Lord Krishna, the one who has Samagra Jnanam, he is the repository of all knowledge, whatever knowledge it may be. So he is the very knowledge Swarupa. So Samagra Jnanam. Then Samagra Aishwaryam, the one who is the Ishvara, the one who has overlordship of everything, whatever is there of this entire Jagat, including the potential Jagat in the form of Maya. Then the one who has Samagra Viryam, Balam, Samagra Balam, Samagra Viryam, to hold on to this universe and to carry on this universe functioning like this in the form of various laws. It is Samagra Viryam. Then he has got Samagra Yashas. All that glory of Yashas or Kirti belongs to Bhagavan. Then he has Samagra Vairagyam, the fifth one. The one who has all these things, but then Bhagwan does not really have any kind of an attachment to all these things because Bhagwan is the very Swarupam of all these things. So Samagra Vairagyam, total Vairagyam towards all these Bhagas. And lastly, Samagra Shri. Samagra Shri. Shri means all the resources that are there in this Jagat belong to Bhagwan. So Krishna and Bhagwan are the common things. Bhagwan, Krishna we say. So Bhagwan means the possessor of these six bhagas, and Krishna, the most attractive one, the dark one, Akarshati Bhaktan iti Krishna. Then if we take another group now, let us take the first group. Bhagwan Krishna being the very avatara of Vishnu. Many of the names of Lord Krishna are in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Many of the names are Vishnu Sahasranama names that we see Bhagwan Vishnu himself being the names of Vishnu being given to Lord Krishna. So in this group, let us see what are those names which are basically seen in Vishnu Sahasranama, which are applicable to Lord Krishna also, which Arjuna uses as Sambodhana. So first thing, Achyuta. Achyuta means the one for whom there is no wasting, no vikaras, no chuti, no vyaya. The one who does not waste. So what is that? That which does not waste, that which does not change, that which does not have any kind of a vikara. It is the very Parabrahma Swarupa itself. So though it is the name in Vishnu Sahasranama Achyuta, the one for whom there is no chuti at all. Then another name which is given in Vishnu Sahasranama but used very commonly for Krishna is Keshava. Keshava also, Keshavaya Namaha, Achyutaya Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha. All these are the names which are there in Vishnu Sahasranama. So Keshava. Now what is Keshava? Normally Keshava means, if you take the local Laukika meaning, the one with long and attractive hair is called as Keshava. Whereas when it comes to Krishna, what is the meaning of Keshava? Keshava means the one, Krishna, who actually killed a demon called as Keshi. And who is this Keshi? It seems Kamsa sent a demon called as Keshi in the form of a horse to Nanda Gokula when Krishna was still in Gokula. And Krishna is supposed to have killed this horse, a demon which came in the form of horse. And because he killed this Keshi, the Rakshasa or the Asura Keshi who was killed, therefore he is called as also Keshava. And the same name Keshi Nishudhana also comes in Bhagavad Gita. Keshi Nishudhana. That means the one who destroyed this demon named Keshi, who was sent in the form of a horse by Kamsa. So this Keshava, specifically when it is addressed to Krishna, the one who destroyed this demon Keshi. Then comes Madhava. Madhava. Madhava is an Paramananda Madhavam. We have seen that in the Dhyana shlokas itself. Madhava also is one of the names in Vishnu Sahasranama. Madhava means something which is very sweet, but then the other meaning of Madhava for Vishnu in Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama, is the very consort of Lakshmi. Ma is Lakshmi. Another name of Lakshmi is Ma. Madhava, the one who holds, the one who has this Lakshmi as his consort is Madhava. And here the same is used for Krishna also in the name of Madhava, a very sweet person, the consort of Lakshmi. That is what is taught, Keshava, Madhava. Then we have Ananta. Ananta is another name which is used for Vishnu also and also for Lord Krishna. Ananta means that which is infinite. Now it is the Brahma Swarupam. Now here Krishna is addressed as Hey Ananta, Ananta Rupa. In the 11th chapter, Arjuna addresses him as a Anantarupa, the one who manifests in myriads of forms. Vishnu also. Krishna being the very avatara of Krishna here, Ananta means the one who's infinite, that infinite consciousness, that infinite Brahman is also a Sambodhana for Krishna. And Anantarupa, Hey Anantarupa, Jagannivasa, Anantarupa. In the 11th chapter, Krishna is addressed by Arjuna like this. So Ananta, Anantarupa is another name that is given, which is a part of the Vishnu Sahasranama itself. Then there are other names also which are given in Vishnu Sahasranama and specifically to Krishna, Vasudeva. Vasudeva Putraha is Vasudeva. Now, there is another meaning for Vasudeva. Vasu means the one who permeates or pervades the entire universe. Vasati, in everything, in this everything that is there, which is available here as Jagat, available there as all pervading consciousness, all pervading existence. Therefore, Vasu means that all pervading existence. Vasati iti Vasu. That is Ishavasyam idam sarvam. That which is present everywhere, all pervading. And Deva means the light of consciousness. Deva, that which shines, which lights up. Vasudeva here also means Vasudeva Putra. At the same time, Vasudeva means that which is the existence and consciousness which is present in everything in this Jagat. Vasudeva Mayam Sarvam Jagat. Krishnam, Krishnamayam, Sarvam Krishnamayam, Vasudevamayam. So Vasudeva is another name which is in Vishnu Sahasranama. At the same time, it indicates this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahmarupi Krishna. So Achyuta, Ananta, then Ananta Rupa, and then of course what we saw Vasudeva. All these things indicate, that Krishna as Narayana is nothing but the all pervading consciousness. Then we'll go to the next group. Now, Krishna was a protector and sustainer of the whole universe. He manifests, he presents himself as the sustainer and the protector of the whole universe. When he was, even if you take the life story from Bhagavatam of Lord Krishna, wherever he went, he protected people. Whether it was, the Gopalas in the Gokula, or whether it was in Mathura when he came to Mathura, or whether it is in Dwaraka, whether as a sustainer or supporter of Pandavas, a protector, Krishna was always playing the role of a protector and also a sustainer of not only the human jivas but also of all the other jivas also. So in this group, as a protector, as a nourisher, as a sustainer of people around him, what are the names of Sambodhana that Arjuna uses? Let us see. Govinda, he uses. Govinda. Protector of the cows and the protector of the very earth itself. You know, first chapter, 32nd verse. That, of course, I mean, I won't say that because it will distract you from, listening to what I'm saying. So, Govinda. Go has got many meanings. Go means, cows. Go also means the earth. So the one who protects, Krishna protected the cows. Krishna protected as an avatara also, and Vishnu as in various avatars protected the earth also. So the very protector and sustainer of the cows and the earth, this whole Medini, therefore he is called as Govinda. There is another meaning for the word Govinda. Go again means Vedas. Govinda means the one who is got or the one who is understood by the words of the Vedas. Therefore, by the words of the Vedas, he is understood. So, Narayana or Bhagwan Krishna, we are now taking Bhagwan Krishna and Narayana or Vishnu as the same because ultimately Krishna is the Purna Avatara of Mahavishnu, and therefore we can take this as Govinda, the one who is known through the words of Vedas, the one who is understood through the words of Vedas, as what? As that very consciousness itself. So, Govinda as the protector, sustainer, and also as the very Jagat Karanam Brahma itself, who's understood or known through the words of Vedas. Then there is one more word as a protector or sustainer, Janardana. What is the meaning of Janardana? Janardana here means he fulfills the desires or the artis of the Jana. Arti means the desire. Artha Bhaktas, we said. Arti means the one whose desires are fulfilled by the worship of Lord Krishna. At the same time, Janardana means Janan Ardayati, or Ardayati means what? Those asuras or those who trouble, those who are, those who have asuri sampat, such people are chastised by Lord Krishna. Therefore, that is another name, the meaning of Janardana. The chastiser of asuras, or those who have asuri sampat, and the one who protects and fulfills the desires of the worshippers of Lord Krishna. So, this is the name of Krishna as Janardana, also as the sustainer and the protector of all the dharmic people. That's why he said, Sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a glani of dharma, I come and I protect. So I am the Janardana as a protector and also as the destroyer or the punisher or the chastiser of those who are adharmic and those who are evil influences on the dharmic people, to protect the sadhus and to destroy those who are adharmic people. Then we have other names also. Madhusudana, Arisudhana, Keshi Nishudhana, Keshava, which I already talked about, Madhusudana. Very often this name comes. In many verses, Madhusudana comes. It is said that he, Krishna, destroyed a an asura, a Rakshasa called Madhu. Therefore, he's called as Madhusudana. There is a big list of Rakshasas who have been destroyed by Lord Krishna, starting from Putana. Starting from Putana as an infant, from there, Kaliya, in the form of a sarpa, this Keshi in the form of a horse. So, Madhu, and so many other, there is a list of names in Bhagavatam where you find that Krishna has destroyed all these asuras, So Madhusudana comes very, very frequently. The destroyer or the one who killed this asura named Madhu. Arisudana. Ari again means a Rakshasa is called as an Ari. So various Rakshasas he killed, therefore he is also called as Arisudana. So Arisudana, Madhusudana, Keshi Nishudana, Keshava, all these are talking about Krishna's personal way of protecting wherever he was from the Daityas or Asuras who were a nuisance to that particular area. So this is how Arjuna addresses Krishna many times. Hey Madhusudana, hey Arisudana, hey Keshava. So, in this way, many, as you go on reading, you'll find them in any number of verses. You'll find these kind of sambodhanas used by Arjuna towards Krishna. Then, let us see from the Kula wise, another group. There are two names which really stand out depending upon where Krishna belongs, to the Kula that he belongs. Varshneya, Vrishni Kula Udbhavaha. Krishna was born in the Kula or the clan of Vrishnis, a type of Kshatriyas. Actually, it is said that these Vrishni Kshatriyas were a cursed Kula of Kshatriyas. Let's not go into that particular story. But then he was born in the Vrishni Kula. So Vrishni Kula Udbhavaha, therefore, He Varshneya. He's addressed as He Varshneya. Why Varshneya means He Vrishni Kula Udbhava Krishna. He Yadava. He Sakha, He Yadava iti. Yadava Kula again. Vrishni Kula, also called as the Yadava Kula. So Yadava Kula, Udbhutaha, the one who was born in the Yadava Kula or in Vrishni Kula, in the clan of Vrishnis or Yadavas. Therefore, taking his family where he was born in this particular avatara, the family is taken as a Yadava, belonging to the clan of Yadavas, Varshneya, belonging to the clan of the Vrishnis. At the same time, Vasudeva. Hey Vasudeva, Vasudeva Suta Vasudeva. Vasudeva is Vasudeva Putra. So Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. So Vasudeva Sutam or Vasudeva, as I already explained, when you take it from the point of view of the highest truth, Vasudeva indicates this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. But Vasudeva Putrataya also, Hey Vasudeva, is one of the Sambodhanas given. So then, next we'll take the personal glories. Krishna, after all, he is an avatara. There are personal glories which belong to Krishna, and therefore, personal glory wise also, Arjuna addresses Krishna with all the glories that Krishna has. Most important, Purushottama. Hey Purushottama, the most exalted among all the beings. Now, here again, Purusha here means Krishna has appeared now in the form of a human avatara. So you are that Purushottama, Uttama Purusha. Krishna himself says, I am the Uttama Purusha. Hey Purushottama. Many times Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama, as glorifying Krishna. Personally using Krishna's glory, glorifying Krishna, Purushottama. Mahabaho. Hey Mahabaho. Because in 11th chapter also you see Arjuna requesting Krishna, please come back to your four-armed, Rupam. I want to see that four-armed Rupam. Mahabaho again means Krishna was also Though he did not fight actively in the Mahabharata war, Krishna was a warrior. Mahabaho, he had to have mighty arms to destroy so many Kamsa, Chanura, so many other Rakshasas and Asuras to destroy. Mahabaho, the one who had very, very powerful arms. And Krishna also addresses Arjuna as Mahabaho in many situations. This is basically to kind of glorify the personal glory of each other. So here he glorifies Krishna, the one with powerful arms, Mahabaho. Also, He Purushottama, the most exalted one. Again, Purushottama, if you take the deeper meaning, it means that Brahman only. Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, Uttama Purusha, we already saw in the 15th chapter. But as a personal glorification, He Purushottama, he calls him as most exalted among Purushas. And also, he addresses him sometimes, He Mahatma, Mahatma, Mahan Atma, the one who is the greatest among, all the present, Mahatma, as an avatara, the one who's a glorious person, a Mahatma. So he addresses him as Mahatma. And in one place, he addresses, Hey Kamala Patraksha. Again, the personal glories or the features, taking Krishna's features. Kamala Patraksha. Patraksha means the one who has the eyes like the petals of a lotus. Kamala Patra Aksha, not lotus leaves. Lotus leaves are so big. If the lotus leaves mean Kamala Patraksha, Krishna's face will be only with eyes. So Kamala Netra, but here it's not Kamala Netra. Kamala Patraksha, the Kamala or the lotus petals, the one who has got eyes which resemble the lotus petals. So here, He Kamala Patraksha, Purushottama, He Mahabaho, He Bhagavan. Bhagavan, not very frequent, Bhagavan. So these are the personal glories. By using personally the glories that belong to, or the personal, hints of personal glories of Krishna are being used by Arjuna here as Sambodhana. Then the most important kind of addressing or sambodhana comes in the 11th chapter. If you see, almost every verse of the 11th chapter, also in the 10th chapter to a large extent, in the Vishwarupa Darshana, in the 11th chapter, is where you find the maximum sambodhanas used by Arjuna. And here, what is this sambodhana due to? This I have divided into as, out of adulation. That kind of adulation, that kind of, you know, ascharya that he has, and the adulation he sees when he sees Krishna in the Vishwarupa, the description of Vishwarupa and showing his adulation to the Vishwarupa, I have taken it as a single group. So let us see what are the Sambodhanas which Arjuna uses out of adulation for this entire Vishwarupa. So first he calls him Deva. Deva means the one who shines, the one who reveals himself. Hey Deva, he calls him Deva. Adi Deva, you are the Adi Deva. You are the very first one. You are the very first Deva. You are the one who appeared first, the one who has always been there, Adi Deva. Purushottama also is Adi Deva. Adi Deva means the one who is never born, never dies, the one who is the very first one to be there. Deva, that means the shining one, the one who reveals everything. At the same time, he is Adi Deva. Then he says Deva Deva, Devanam Deva, the very Lord of all the Lords. Vishnu being the Lord of Lords. Brahman being the very Lord of all Lords, the very first. Therefore, Deva, Deva Deva, Adi Deva, Deva Varaha, Hey Deva Vara, Devanam Varaha, the highest and the most exalted among all the Devas. If you take all the Devas like, the Vishwe Devas, the 33 Koti Vishwe Devas, and then you have your 12 Adityas, 49 Marutganas, Ashtavasus, Ekadasha Rudras. If you take all these devas, including Indra, Varuna, Agni, Vayu, Yama, all these devas, Deva Varaha, Devanam Varaha. You are the Deva of all the devas. The Lord of lords, the Lord of all gods. So Deva Deva also means the same. Deva Vara also means the same. Devaha, that light of consciousness which shines and reveals everything. Deva, Deva Deva, Devanam Devaha, Devavaraha, Devanam Varaha. You are that exalted among all the devas. Deveshaha. You are the Isha or the Lord of all the devas. The meaning may be the same, but see the different ways in which the Sambodhana is made in the Deva itself. He Deva, He Deva Deva, Devavara, Devesha, Adi Deva. Okay, Devesha, Deva, Devesha, Jagannivasa. That's another word of adulation which Arjuna used. Jagannivasa, that in which in you the entire Jagat is situated. The entire Jagat lives in you. Jagan Nivasa. Nivasati Yasmin Idam Sarvam. This whole thing, this entire universe exists in whom? You are that Jagan Nivasa. You exist in the form of that existence, consciousness in this entire universe. Therefore, you are that all pervading Jagan Nivasa. Anantarupa, Deva Devesha Anantarupa Jagan Nivasa. The one you are manifesting in different forms, hey Krishna, in this Vishwarupa. Same thing, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu also. What is the meaning of Vishnu? That which is available, which is everywhere. Vyapnoti sarvam iti Vishnuhu. Same way, when Lord Krishna shows his, Vishwarupa Swarupa, he is everywhere. Lord Krishna is everywhere. Vyapnoti sarvam. Vishnu, hey, Vishnu he is called. So Ananta Rupa. In myriad forms, in various forms you are manifesting. And this is what is expressed as Sambodhana by Arjuna in awe, in Ascharya. He's so surprised with open eyes, with open mouth. He sees this Lord Krishna manifesting in every name and form. And as Vishwarupa, as he sees Krishna as everything in this Jagat as Vishwarupa, he addresses him in what way? Vishveshwara, Vishwarupa, Vishwamurte, He Vishwamurte. So Vishveshwara. Vishwasya Ishvaraha. You are the very Lord of this entire universe, and therefore you are manifesting in this Ananta Rupa form. So you are the Vishveshwara. You are the very, you have the very overlordship, the very Ishvara of this entire Vishwa. Vishwarupaha. You are manifesting in the form of this entire universe. The very Rupam of this entire Vishwa is your Rupa. Wherever I see, I am seeing you. So the entire Jagat is your own Swarupa. You are the Rupa of this Jagat. You are the Swarupam of this Jagat. So Vishveshwara, Vishwarupa, Vishwamurti. Your whole Akriti, your whole Murti, your whole body is nothing but this whole Vishwa. So you are the Vishwamurti. Therefore, you are Vishveshwara, Vishwarupa, Vishwamurti. And then in here also, he uses another word which is used in many, many contexts, in many places, Rishikesha. What is the meaning of Rishikesha? Rishikesha is the, Rishikesha means the Lord of all the, sense organs. The Lord of all sense organs out of adulation. You can also include that in the personal glories as Rishikesha. Actually, what is the meaning of Rishikesha? The one who has got the sun and the moon and all the luminaries in his hair. In his hair. That is the, Laukika meaning of Rishikesha. But if we take the Paramarthika meaning of Rishikesha, that consciousness behind all the sense organs, Rishikesha, that which is self-revealing consciousness behind all the, Indriyas and the mind. Therefore, out of adulation, he calls him Rishikesha. Then, of course, I might have left out some words, it is possible, but these are the most common words that are used here. And then the last word, I have to use is in the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara. So Yogeshwara may not be directly used as a sambodhana by Arjuna to Lord Krishna. But then when Sanjaya is concluding this, you know, relating this Mahabharata Yuddha and whatever happened, the Bhagavad Gita teaching to Dhritarashtra, he ends the Bhagavad Gita saying that Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha. Wherever there is this combination of Partha as the Nara and as Yogeshwara Krishna as Narayana, there is no doubt that there will be Sampatti, Vibhuti, and Jaya there. There cannot be any loss there. It is only a winning situation for them. Yogeshwara means what? Sarva Yoganam Ishwaraha Yogeshwaraha. And the meaning in Bhagavad Gita is Bhagwan gave this entire teaching being abiding in the Jnana Yoga, in this yoga. Okay, Yoge Tishthan. Jnana Yoge Tishthan, he gave this. So Yogeshwara means Krishna abiding in this yoga. Yogeshwara Krishna he is called as. Whatever teaching he gave it as Yogeshwara, abiding in that knowledge, abiding in that teaching, abiding in that as that Atma Swarupa Krishna, he gave this teaching. Therefore, he is called as Yogeshwara. So with this, I think we have done enough justice to Bhagwan Krishna as the very Acharya. He is also called as a Gita Acharya. Of course, there are many other names, but we are using those names which are used in Bhagavad Gita as Sambodhana. He is called as Jagat Guru, he is called as Gita Acharya, Jagat Acharya, because he gave this teaching to the entire Jagat in the form of Bhagavad Gita as a song or as a collection of 700 verses, which is nothing but the pure summary or the central teaching of all the Upanishads. So with this, I think we will stop the Sambodhana used for Krishna by Arjuna. And possible that I might have missed some of them, but I would have definitely covered them in my regular Bhagavad Gita classes. So if there is anything which I have missed in this particular thing, maybe you should refer to the Wednesday classes in which I have probably mentioned all of them. Now next we'll come to Arjuna. Now Arjuna is the Shishya. He's also got that equal importance because there is one Shishya and one Guru. And therefore, Krishna has to be very careful that he keeps the attention of Arjuna on this teaching. Because ultimately, unfortunately, though Arjuna has surrendered as a Shishya to Krishna, this is happening in the situation of the war, the most extraordinary situation. It is possible that Arjuna's Vishada is already there, making him helpless. There are so many things which are distracting Arjuna, and in such a situation, Bhagwan Krishna, abiding in that yoga as Yogeshwara Krishna, giving this teaching, therefore, Bhagwan Krishna many times has to draw the attention of Arjuna by, calling him out, by addressing him by various names. He gives, or he calls out, or he addresses Arjuna by various names. First, let us see the meaning of the name Arjuna itself. Arjuna means the one who is clean, sinless, and straightforward, forthright. Forthright, straightforward, straight, the one who has got arjavam, the one who is straight in his thought, speech, and also his actions. Arjuna also is the name of a tree, a very straight standing tree, Arjuna. The name comes from there. Arjuna also means, like Krishna, Arjuna also means black or dark, the dark tree. So Arjuna, a shining black, something which is shining. So Arjuna here also means clean, forthright, straightforward, and sinless. Of course, for sinless, another word is used by Krishna. So let us understand Arjuna as this. Now, here also I have divided the names of Arjuna into three groups here, because Arjuna is addressed in so many ways, in so many, I mean, the same name comes any number of times. Now, many times, endearingly, out of endearment, Bhagwan Krishna calls Arjuna by a personal name, by his personal names, because of that closeness, the personal closeness. They have been very close, they are closely related, they have seen each other from childhood, they have grown up together. And Krishna has spent many, a long time with them in the forest. So Arjuna is very, very dear to him. So many of the Sambodhanas used by Lord Krishna for Arjuna are those Sambodhanas of endearment or personal closeness. Most important is Kaunteya. Kaunteya means Kunti Putra. How many times Kaunteya would have appeared, isn't it? Maybe hundreds of, in those 700 verses, at least 50, 60 times it would have probably appeared. That is why I have not gone to, the extent of naming every verse where you'll have to keep on turning pages and see. No. So Kaunteya means Kunti Putraha. So He Kaunteya, He Kunti Putra. It is a sambodhana of endearment. Partha, हे Partha, Prithayaha putraha Partha. Pritha is another name for Kunti. Therefore, He Kaunteya, He Partha. How many times Partha is being used? Partha. That's why he's called Partha Sarathi. Krishna is called Partha Sarathi. Of course, we didn't bring this name here because it's not a Sambodhana. Arjuna never addresses, Krishna as Hey Parthasarathi. It is a name given by others. Here we are restricting, to Krishna's, Lord Krishna's name. 1,000 names are there for Krishna. There's a Krishna Sahasranama. So all these names are coming. So we cannot take all the 1,000 names here. We are taking all those names by which Arjuna has addressed Krishna, which we just finished. And now, out of endearment, what Lord Krishna is addressing Arjuna as. What is this? Kaunteya, Partha, and Pandava. Pandava, Panduputra, the one who belongs to Pandu, he's Pandava. So a personal endearment where personally very well. Like a person very well, you call that person by that particular personal name. You don't address that person as a Pachi, Mam or something. You call by that, that particular name because you are very close to Hey Partha, Hey Kaunteya, Hey Pandava. These are all the Sambodhanas of that personal endearment of Lord Krishna. Then Lord Krishna has another very important job to motivate Arjuna, correct? As a motivator, he has to use certain words because we know that Arjuna was in a state of Vishada, in a state of shock, in a state of denial of fighting the war. He was in a situation where he was waiting to run away from the war and war field and even to take sannyasa. And at such a time, Bhagwan had to motivate him. There are times when Bhagwan was giving him this teaching, which would have been probably a difficult teaching to understand, like the 7th chapter, the 9th chapter, the 13th chapter, the 15th chapter, where the very teaching is very, very subtle and very difficult. And therefore, he wants Lord Krishna wants to address Arjuna in such a way that he's motivating him. He's motivating Arjuna to fight the war, to get out of his helplessness and Vishada. At the same time, in certain critical areas, subtle areas of teaching, he wants to motivate and draw the attention of Arjuna and motivate him with these names. So let us see what are the names which Lord Krishna uses to address Arjuna as motivating him to draw his attention towards the teaching or to motivate him to yudhyasva bharata. May you therefore, okay, yog he bharata, yogi bhava, tasmad yogi bhava, yudhyasva. So now for all such motivating things, may you do this, may you do that, may you become this. For this, what are the words that are being used? Bharata. Bharata means Bharata Kula, the one who is born in the Bharata Kula. So, hey Bharata. So, you have a responsibility. being the, the one who's born in such a kula like the Bharata Vamsha, such an illustrious Vamsha like Bharata Vamsha, the Bharata, you have a certain responsibility towards maintaining dharma, to fight this war, which is the war of dharma, to maintain balance of dharma in the society. So these are the words Bharata, hey Bharata, Bharata Vamsha Udbhavaha, Bharata. Bharatarshabha, Bharata Rishabha, the most exalted one, the most well known one, the most famous one, the most valorous one in the Bharata Vamsha. Bharatarshabha. Rishabha means the one which is most exalted. See, in a group of cows, when you see a bull, how prominent the bull is, how attractive the bull is. So he says, Bharatarshabha, literally like the bull or the most exalted one among all the people of Bharatavamsha. Since also this Bharatavamsha is called as the Kuru Vamsha or the family of the Kurus, he addresses him, motivates him, Kuru Nandana, hey Kuru Nandana, the one who is born in the Kuru Vamsha, same as Bharatavamsha, at the same time, the one who is the happiness, the one who gives happiness to the entire Kuru Vamsha, the one who is the darling of all the people of Kuru Vamsha, the darling of Kuru Vamsha, Kuru Nandana. Okay, the one like Gopala Nandanaha, we call Krishna, the one who was really the darling of the hearts of all the Gopas. Similarly, Kuru Nandana, the one who is most loved by the Kurus, Kuru Nandana, again a motivating word. Kuru Sattama, the most, the highest among the Kurus. Uttama, Sattama. Kuru Sattama means, the one who is the highest, the most exalted, most prominent among the Kuru Vamshas. The one who probably has the highest fame in that entire Kuru Vamsha and also the entire Bharata Vamsha, the one has Kuru Sattama. Then Kuru Pravira, the one who's the most valorous of the entire Kuru Vamsha. Yes, Bhima was also there, and our who's that Dharmaraja was also there. But who was the one who was known for his valor? It is said that people who fought wars at that time would take names of Arjuna before starting the war. And they were sure that if we remember Arjuna and fight the war, we will win the war. So that was the valor, that was the fame of Arjuna. So Kurusattama, Kurupravira. Hey Kurupravira, the most valorous one among the Kurus. Then another word he uses, Parantapa, many times, hey Parantapa, the scorcher of enemies, Parantapa. Looking at Arjuna, only many people in that war would have probably fainted or died. If Arjuna came with his Gandiva in front of them, maybe many of them would have died. Even Duryodhana was very scared initially when he saw Arjuna himself. So he's the one who's the scorcher of enemies, the one who can make an enemy really run hither and thither. Therefore, he's called as Parantapa. Hey Parantapa, scorcher of enemies, get up and fight. So, wherever this valor or this confidence is needed by Arjuna to fight the war, all these are the motivating words used by Krishna to address Arjuna. Then, Mahabaho, naturally, how many times Mahabahu he says, you, the one, the valorous one with these mighty, powerful arms which can win over anything. You, the Mahabahu, with your mighty arms, you have fought wars for Lord Indra also. You have defeated Bhagwan Shiva in, the Kirata Arjuna Yuddha. You have, defeated him. So Mahabahu with powerful arms. And then in the 11th chapter, he says, Savyasachi. Savyasachi means the one who's adept in using both the arms. Arjuna was ambidextrous as far as releasing the arrows was concerned. So he was a person who could release the arrows with both the left hand and the right hand. So that is his again a motivation and a glory, personal glory of Arjuna, which he's talking about in the form of He Mahabaho and Savyasachi. And again, some Purusha Rishabha. Purusha Rishabha, the most exalted among men, Purusha Rishabha. And in the third group, Bhagwan Krishna uses Arjuna's personal glories. We can use these two words, Mahabaho, Purusharshabha, also in the personal glories. But taking the personal characteristics of Arjuna, Bhagwan addresses him as most important is Anagha, He Anagha, Paparahitaha, the one who has sattvic orientation of buddhi, sattva pradhana. As a shishya now, in spite of the surrounding rajo guna, as the entire circumstances being of rajas and tamas, still then Arjuna had the capacity to have the sattva guna pradhana intellect to understand and absorb and ask for this knowledge. So he's called paparahitaha, he anagaha. That's why in the last session on Wednesday, I said that you have, hey Arjuna, you have the Daivi pravrittis. You are born with the Daivi sampatti. Don't worry. That is what Krishna says to Arjuna. So, hey Anagha, sinless one, paparahitaha, you are full of Daivi sampatti. Deha bhratam varaha. Deha Bratam, those with bodies, with the bodies of human beings, among the bodies, those, the one who has this body as a Purusha or body, Deha Bratam Varaha, the highest among or the most exalted among all the warriors and human beings. Then Kiriti, he uses a word Kiriti, the one with the Kirita. Bhai Kiriti, all the other kings are also wearing the Kirita. Here it is said that this Kirita which Arjuna wears was put on his head, placed on his head by none other than Bhagwan Indra himself, who incidentally happens to be Arjuna's father also. He's Indraputra. Therefore, he's Kiriti. Bhagwan addresses Arjuna as Kiriti. Then another very important name, Gudakeshaha, the one who has won over tamas, the one who has won over nidra. It seems Arjuna could fight for days on end together without even sleeping. That's what he did when he fought against the asuras, helping Indra in Svargaloka when he went days on end together without sleeping. So the one who has conquered sleep, the one who has conquered tamas, therefore he is called as Gudakesha. Many times Bhagwan addresses him as Gudakesha. Then there is one more, Dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya. What is the meaning of Dhananjaya? Wherever Arjuna went and won over any kingdom, along with the kingdom, he won over all the wealth belonging to that particular kingdom. So, whichever king he defeated in his Vijaya Yatra, wherever he went, whichever kingdom he defeated, all the money, all the resources, the entire treasury of the lost kingdom belonged to Arjuna, and he accumulated a lot of wealth. Therefore, he was called as Dhananjaya. These are the personal glories: Dehavratambaraha, Kiritihi, Gudakesha, Mahabaho, Purusharshabha. Again, Savyasachi also we can bring it in this only as a motivating word also, and also as Arjuna's personal glory also, that he was adept in fighting with both his arms. So these three groups, personal closeness, motivating words as Sambodhana, and Sambodhana using the personal glories of Arjuna. So in this way, I divided in groups the Sambodhana of Lord Krishna towards Arjuna and how Arjuna addresses Lord Krishna. Yes, I'm sure that this many words, if we know the meaning, that should be sufficient for us whenever we go through this Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, if there are any words that are left behind, as I said, they'll be definitely covered up, which have already been covered up enough. And in the next few sessions that are left for Wednesday sessions, we'll probably deal with them if they have any of them have been left out. And with this, I hope I know I have satisfied our Parama Pujya Swamiji, who wanted a Vimarsha to be done on this Paraspara Sambodhana of Krishna Arjuna. So with this, we will stop today's session. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।